Welcome to the very first episode of Something About Sports. It's here, it's now, it's happening. We got something going on with sports. We've been lacking sports, we need sports, and we're here to talk about sports. I am your host, Jake Eilerman. I will always be your host. But we're going to first start off the first episode. We're actually just a week past the most interesting NFL draft in NFL draft history because it was the first ever at-home draft because the coronavirus or COVID-19 or whatever we're calling it this week. They had to do everything from home, including Roger Goodell in his weirdly set up living room. First, I wanted to kind of talk about what I thought about the at-home draft. I thought it was a little different. The only complaints that I really had is they kept showing Vegas, where the draft was supposed to happen, and they kept showing empty Vegas. Now, most people, when they come into, watching sports and something like that, really being the first, sporting event that we've had in, a month or two, you don't want to be reminded of the gloom, and to show an empty Vegas where we're so used to seeing the flashing lights of Vegas, don't show it like you're showing a, post-apocalyptic Vegas. That was kind of a weird thing, and they kept going back to it. Don't keep reminding me. I came here to escape. Please let me escape. But I think the cool thing that they did do was they showed the coaches, with their kids, getting to be in their home offices and getting to see the kids, getting to experience it and kind of, going to work with daddy and stuff like that. I thought was kind of cool, and getting to see, the wives and the families and stuff getting to be a part of it, I thought was really cool. And getting to see all the players from home getting to be with their families and getting to really experience it with their families, I thought was really cool. So I thought it was a success. I'd like to see it in the future. I think the first round, they could probably do it the way they've normally done it with the glamour and stuff for the first round. But then I think after, second round and on, I think they should go to more of a at-home draft so that you can see those families, really getting to experience it, and the kids and everything else the way they did. So I hope they do it that way in the future. Let the first round have the glamour, and really just let the second round be more about the, at home. And I thought it made, the at home stuff made the draft kind of feel quicker. It didn't feel, in the past, it's really felt like it dragged on. I thought it really kind of, really hurried it up. So I thought that was a really cool aspect of it. But I wanted to kind of do, winners, possible losers, and losers of the draft that at least I saw. And you have to say that number one winner, the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, when you can get a quarterback like Joe Burrows, I mean, he's an Ohio boy, played at the Ohio State University, left just because he saw the writing on the wall that he wasn't going to have the opportunity, and was able to go to LSU and, tear it up. Let's be honest. He's put up some of the most amazing numbers. He deserved to be number one overall, and I thought even in the interviews and everything after the draft, he came off as a very humble guy that really wants to get to work, and I think he's going to be one of those few people that, he steps in being able to be not only a vision of the franchise and Cincinnati Bengals, but of the NFL, because he's so wholesome. He's never been, a me guy. He's always been about the team, about helping people out. This man in his Heisman speech talked about wanting to help the people in his hometown that, were struggling to eat and everything else. The biggest moment of his career, and he's wanting to use it to, help others. You can't get any more of a picture-perfect kid than that. To be the face of your franchise, just hopefully they keep him, around the right people, and they keep this kid on the right track. And I think he's going to be one of those people that, you can really build as a picture of the NFL rather than your, next guy that punches out his girlfriend or wife. So He's one of the NFL is really going to lean on to be that picture of the NFL. And I mean, they didn't have much. I was looking at, as of this recording, Andy Dalton just got cut. So their next backup was Ryan Finley. And if anybody that's listening can tell me where Ryan Finley went to college, I'd be surprised. Because I'll put it this way, he's not a franchise quarterback. But, I mean, they've got so many great talents because, I mean, A.J. Green's coming back from injury. They got Joe Mixon on their roster. Tyler Boyd's still there. And then they lucked in the fact that T. Higgins from Clemson fell to the second round, and they were smart enough. Get your new franchise guy, weapons. So, they were really able to get lucky on T. Higgins falling to them in the second round. So I think they had a really good draft. And I think if they keep Joe Burrows upright and keep a good head on his shoulders, I think he's gonna change that team's philosophy for the better. I think next you gotta go with them Cowboys. I mean, when you get lucky enough to have a guy that they were predicting in CeeDee Lamb of going in the top 10 falls all the way to you at 17th. I mean, that's such a huge thing. I mean, look at the talent on their offense. I mean, you got Dak Prescott there at quarterback. I mean, who's possibly about ready to sign one of the top contracts. And they've got, Zeke Elliott, who's still, top 5, if not the best running back in the NFL. Then you've got Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, and you're adding CeeDee Lamb to that. I mean, that's a heck of an offense. I think you're going to have to look out in the NFL. This may be we may about to see the return of the Cowboys. I definitely say they were a winner, and one that I thought was they were a quiet team, but man, they were just making good picks was the Denver Broncos. They were one that, I mean, they didn't reach for a quarterback. I mean, they've got Drew Lock, who they picked up a couple years ago in the draft. I don't think he's going to be their franchise guy that they're going to be able to build it around. But at the same time, with a lot of your guys gone and Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow's gone, they could have made the mistake and tried to reach. They didn't. They said, let's stick with him and let's build around him. Let's get him weapons. I mean, they in the offseason, they got Melvin Gordon, and they already had Philip Lindsay, who, I mean, is an amazing running back. So now you've got 2 running backs that both could be Pro Bowl running backs. And then they went offense, receiver in first round and second round in Jerry Jeudy, who I think is going to be kind of a sleeper pick. A lot of people were talking about him before the draft. And KJ Hamler out of Penn State coming out of the Big Ten. KJ Hamler has always been kind of that guy that just when you think Penn State couldn't make a play, all of a sudden there was KJ Hamler off to the races. And, your DBs were staring at him. And, I mean, we had, same DBs that he was burning. We're going in the first round of the draft. So, I mean, that says something right there. So those I definitely think are 3 teams that definitely won. And then went with a couple of teams that I felt were possible losers. I don't think, I mean, they had bad drafts, but they're kind of let's look and see. They could be winners in the future. They could be losers. I mean, it all really kind of depends on how it goes. First, I'm going to go with the Miami Dolphins. Just because of Tua. I mean, most of their offense, they built around getting offensive linemen to protect him. But how healthy is he really going to be? I mean, the man had like 5 or 6 injuries, in the last couple of years that were major injuries, one of which being that hip, that most people talked, it being a year-long recovery that, they didn't need him, to step in, and then Miami gets him. I mean, they've got Ryan Fitzpatrick, who, I mean, Fitzmagic can be great one week, and then the next week he's struggling. So the moment he struggles, they're going to call for Tua, and how healthy is he really going to be? In a 16-game season, that's saying that you don't make it to the playoffs. That's 16 games. He, that last year at Alabama, he wasn't able to make it 5 before he was having injury after injury, and then he was out for the rest of the year. I mean, he didn't even play in the playoffs or anything like that because of injuries. So, I mean, how much is his body going to be able to, stay up over a 16-game season? And, I mean, you're talking multiple years. So that's really going to be a big thing for them is how much are they going to be able to rehab him and get him healthy and keep him healthy is going to be really the main thing there. Next, I'm going to say Philadelphia Eagles. They kind of had an odd draft because they started off with Jalen Reagor, I believe at TCU, and he was one that they were trying to build up and say, oh, he's been going up people's draft boards, but nobody was really talking about him. When they were talking about your elites, I mean, you had a guy like Justin Jefferson from LSU that, is coming off that playoff game where he had 5 touchdowns in the first half, and you leave him to go to somewhere else so you can reach for another wide receiver. I didn't understand that. And then in the second round, you go Jalen Hurts. You've got your quarterback of the future. He's a guy that, I mean, he's a great backup, but especially in this time that there's not much sports, you're going to get people wondering. You don't want to give a place like Philadelphia the ability to talk because I guarantee their radio won't shut up. And the moment that Carson Wentz struggles, they're going to be calling for him. Why isn't Jalen Hurts on the field? So I think that's one that they're going to struggle with because of it. They put themselves into a weird position. But let's get on to the losers, I felt, of the draft. And, well, we're starting off with number 1, the Green Bay Packers. Why? Because they have been in the media all week since when they drafted Jordan Love. Quarterback, not one of the top quarterbacks, but they traded back into the first round to take said quarterback when you have Aaron Rodgers, who is one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL, possibly of all time. Man that's been able to make magic out of, Hail Marys almost his entire career. I understand he's getting up there in age, but not the time to make the move. And then they answered that by getting the man no weapons. No, whether it's Aaron Rodgers or it's Jordan Love, they went with no weapons. I mean, they didn't take a receiver. I can't even remember if they. I mean, there was guys out there. T. Higgins. When they took Jordan Love, T. Higgins was still there. Michael Pittman, KJ Hamler, who I talked about earlier, were still there. You could have gotten your franchise quarterback some weapons, but you didn't do it. All you did is, once again, and at a time where there's no sports, you gave the media something to talk about. And all they're going to be doing is getting into Aaron Rodgers' ear. And I have a feeling Green Bay is going to start sending Aaron Rodgers more messages that I wouldn't be surprised in the next year or two to see Aaron Rodgers playing somewhere else. Because I have a feeling he's going to be like Brett Favre. If people remember, Brett Favre wanted nothing to do with Aaron Rodgers. He flat out said in interviews that he will not help him. And I have a feeling Aaron Rodgers is going to do the same thing to Jordan Love. So it's going to be easier for Green Bay to just send him packing. I don't know where he would go. But, I mean, once you see the writing on the wall, you kind of got to think about your own career and, get out. I mean, hopefully he doesn't follow Brett Favre and go to the Jets and, get involved in a penis pig scandal. But, we all make career choices. The last one, the Carolina Panthers. They just recently kind of, they got a new coach, let go of their franchise quarterback in Cam Newton. And so I thought this was going to be a big draft for them, kind of, building this new offense around this coach that, had come from an offensive school. And, really, I thought it was going to be a draft that they kind of built their new offense, even around Christian McCaffrey, who, one of the top running backs, in the NFL. You got to get a quarterback that can really take the pressure off of him, where Cam Newton, who struggled, wasn't able to, and they didn't do any offense. They didn't take a receiver. They didn't take a tight end. They didn't take a quarterback. They did nothing, and that's what confuses me. I mean, they brought in Teddy Bridgewater over the off season, but I don't understand what they're doing. Because I don't see Teddy. I mean, Teddy's been kind of a journeyman. I love Teddy Bridgewater, but he's been kind of a journeyman quarterback that, I don't see why they didn't go any offense. I mean, you look at their offense, other than Christian McCaffrey and maybe Curtis Samuel, they have nobody on offense. So now you have a quarterback that may be good. We don't know. A good running back, and that's it. I mean, that's really all you have. So, with the amount of receivers and offensive weapons there were in this draft, to see them just go defensive line, a corner, it made no sense to me. When you're trying to build a franchise like that, to completely ignore your offense and just act like, we'll be okay. I have a feeling that that's going to be one of those teams that you see putting up 10, maybe 14 points a game. That's it. I mean, you can have the best defensive line, but if your offense ain't scoring, you ain't winning. I mean, that's just the name of the game. And, you're not bringing defensive linemen in that are, Aaron Donald, that are going to be game-changing players. You brought in guys. So I have a feeling, maybe Carolina Panthers is maybe a bold prediction, but I have a feeling they're going to be tanking for Trevor Lawrence. Maybe that's the hope, is that they can tank this season. If it happens, right now we're still in question if we're going to have a NFL season. Maybe they're going to tank and get Trevor Lawrence. So that's kind of been my my thoughts on the NFL draft. We'll be back, and each week we're going to be doing a different topic. I'll try my best to not make it a lot about football. We're going to try to go into some different baseball, basketball, but each week is really going to be a different topic. I may even dive into the darkest in sport, really go into, rugby and the sports that people don't normally talk about, and really try to get some stories that we can, you viewers can sink your teeth into. But I'm glad to be part of the sports podcasting world. Hopefully, if you guys can, give us a listen, tell your friends, and say, when you get time, let's talk something about sports. I'll see you guys later. Bye.